Determine which statements in 6 through 16 are true and which are false. Prove those that are true and disprove those that are false. Number 9, the square root of 2 divided by 6 is irrational. Now at this point in the textbook, we have that the square root of 2 is irrational. We can assume this. And so from here, we need to show that the square root of 2 divided by 6 is also irrational. Let's prove this. Now the way we're going to prove that the square root of 2 divided by 6 is irrational is very similar to the proof of how the square root of 2 is irrational, which is found in the proof of Theorem 4.8.1. We're going to assume that the square root of 2 divided by 6 is rational. This is assuming the negation of the claim that we're trying to prove. So this is a proof by contradiction. We're assuming the negation, and by assuming a falsehood, we'll eventually follow a logical path to a contradiction. Since we're assuming that this number is rational, we can use the definition of rational to rewrite this number. The square root of 2 divided by 6 equals a over b for some integers a and b, such that b is non-zero. So now the trick is to show that the square root of 2 is actually a rational number, which would contradict Theorem 4.8.1 that the square root of 2 is an irrational number. So how can we show that the square root of 2 is actually a rational number from here? Well, we can multiply both sides by 6. So we get the square root of 2 equals 6a over b. Since integers are closed under multiplication, 6a is an integer. And since b is non-zero, then that means we've represented the square root of 2 as an integer over a non-zero integer, which means that the square root of 2 is a rational number. By Theorem 4.8.1, the square root of 2 is an irrational number. That's a contradiction. So we've shown that the square root of 2 is both a rational number and an irrational number at the same time. That means that somewhere we went wrong in this proof. However, everything is logically valid up to this point. The only thing that we could have gotten wrong here is the assumption itself, which means we must have assumed a falsehood, which means that this statement here is actually false. That the square root of 2 divided by 6 is rational is actually a false statement that we assumed, which means that the original statement is true. And so that means number 9 is true. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.